Project 3.1 Practice and Research. This is my colour and materials review. Now, what I've done is I've pulled together some various aspects, used the materials that I'd started to use in projects 2 and 3. I've already established the colour red and the traditional materials of thread and wool that was knitted into a cord. And then with the investigations of my creative playgrounds, I'd played with wooden lollipop sticks. And what this review has allowed me to do is just focus on two main areas, colour and materials, and it's opened up further investigations where I can now introduce the materials, and I feel that the palettes are putting the colour palettes together without me making a conscious effort. I just need to isolate, select and sort the proportions of colour and what colours that I could possibly want to use. But it's been quite interesting how there has now it's developed into where the use of the rubber bands that I used as a fixing for the three-dimensional triangles adapted from the creative playgrounds, and the foam sheets, which has allowed me to make three-dimensional structures, and also the coloured overlays. So what this allowed me to do was to move on once I'd started to think about more in depth, was to actually start to use materials to draw and paint with. Now, I've used the circle and I've extracted from the materials and reduced down just basic colour, primary colour, red, blue and yellow, and just started to play about. I feel that these drawings are possibly very childlike, which I think has stemmed from possible research from the Dyslexia Shop and Dyslexia Education, but it's just been about mark making and using the material of the water colour and the wax crayon. So moving on, I'd started to make lots of notes that were overlapping with this work, and continued to draw using more circles, isolating various bits of colour and just mark making, and see how these circles would progress with drawing and mark making. As you can see, the circles are now developing. It's either becoming a swirl or a 360-degree circle, a block colour or a single line, single lines with a dot or dots of colour. Now, overlapping with the stripes has been taken from the research by where I used the lollipop sticks, but I've still selected the three basic colours, the red, the blue and the yellow. And then through here, I'd continue to just push the drawings, played with a little bit more scale, and then started to isolate some of the photographs where I could make the drawings a bit more contemporary, a bit more abstract. And here we can see the colour is a bit more direct and quite simple, still using the use of circles. These were actually taken from some foam samples, which I'm going to make a video of later to demonstrate my responses to colour and materials and talk through. But these were taken from photographs, and I've kept offcuts of the foam, which this could be used as a viewfinder to isolate colour. And as we can see, the colour has started to develop as a colour review for me to move forward. Then what I did was I pulled out some earlier samples where I'd already started to think about the use of colour palettes and circles. These are a little bit more mature as colour palettes, and I've started to break down the responses with using some words and possible themes, and we can see Kandinsky has started to evolve through this work. And then through here you can see the foam stencil that could be used as a viewfinder, and then just breaking down and more planning and note making on the colour work. At this point I'd started to research more in depth with Kandinsky and his colour circles, and there's an array of research and information. Through here I wanted to make some notes and also incorporate the materials as a colour palette, because I think it's the materials that are dictating. And these explorations are with the rubber bands and the lollipop sticks, and also the colour from the rubber bands became more pastel. And again, this then developed into very much a material based area with the rubber bands, the foam strips to resonate, the lollipop sticks. But the interesting thing is here, and this did happen by accident, I left the red thread from the previous assignment in the sewing machine, and we can see through here that the red thread, the thin red line that resonated with dyslexia and the school book, just appeared in these samples, which I think is quite a good idea to incorporate. And then through here I made the colour choices a little bit more mature, using proportions of the colour palette, and then making and utilising the circle as a stencil or viewfinder. So this would enable me to isolate colour and find me a colour palette, so that I could make decisions or any final outcomes through this colour choice. This has been an interesting exercise to carry out, because I've been able to combine the materials and colour palettes and make good use of my materials. And then here we can see that I've just kept for possible later work some of the stencils and viewfinders for this assignment.